Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special YouTube. So today I am fortunate enough, I never thought that this would happen, but this is my friend and incredible Lifewave brand partner, and so much more than that as well, by the way, Karon Lacefield. And Karon and I have been working together for a while. I never thought I would get her to agree to do a video, but she has graciously agreed to come on here and talk to us today. She is a brand partner with me, and originally I signed Karen up, and I thought, I didn't know that she was going to be doing the business. I didn't know what was going to be happening, and if anything, I feel that Karen has been really a mentor to me with so many different things as far as healing, knowledge about the holistic world, and constantly inspiring me to be better and do better. And she is reflecting love and healing back to me, which I really needed. So today we're going to be talking to Karon, and what we're really going to be talking about is why it's important, right, to be really professional, and talking about treating network marketing as a serious thing, not just a little kind of side hobby, but something that can really change the world. And before I even start, I don't mean to throw something in there, but would you like to add anything? Would you like to tell anyone anything about yourself, about your background, about what you do, your family, what you do on a daily basis, just before I start asking you questions?
I can do that. Number one, Megan inspired me in the very beginning because I was looking into Lifewave and I began to look at videos. And Megan just really fit my personality because she wasn't pushy. She had a lot of information to share. And so she just really intrigued me. And I think I even texted her later and said, I've come into your team. And the reason was because you were so giving. You had so many videos and things that I could learn, and it inspired me to want to know more about Lifewave. So I want to say that I feel like Megan and I have become like best friends in just a matter of a few months. So anyway, that's the reason I decided to do Lifewave. But Lifeway for me intrigued me because I began to watch different testimonies. And, the last 40 years, I've been in wellness. So either I've owned my own gym or I've been a personal trainer. But the last few years, maybe like 20 years, I've actually been a wellness coach. And so I did that because I had so many autoimmune problems on my own that I needed to know how to get my health back. And when I began to research, I began to want to teach others how to make themselves healthy again. So I tell people that I teach people how not to get sick. That's what I do for a living. I teach people how not to get sick. And then mostly I do a lot of pain management exercise. So
And I think that's so important. It's interesting because and it makes me think as well. A big question that comes up with LifeWave is people will say, "Oh, that seems expensive," or what have you. And I always think when people say it seems expensive, they're not thinking about what happens if you don't give your health and wellness the attention and the love and the nurturing that it needs right now. What could it actually cost you? Because I know as someone, and as someone that actually did experience pretty,
mhm.
deep autoimmune symptoms, it gets a lot more expensive than buying patches for the month. It's like it really does make a difference to focus on being as well as possible before you have a lot of problems. And of course, you can work on it after, but if you can work on it in the beginning when the signs are small, it makes a big difference, and it's actually a lot less expensive to get in there early.
Well, and I also think that emotionally, it saves you from just feeling like you can't get well. I think people truly believe that they cannot be healed, that healing is not something that's obtainable. And I think, the medical profession has done a real good job in thinking that, we can't heal you, but we can treat you. And, I've come a long way. Now, I'm not saying that I've been healed, but I can tell you that I'm in my 60s now, and I'm a lot healthier now than I was in my 40s when I was going through all this autoimmune problems, the problems that I was having. And it was very upsetting because I guess it was, I didn't know if I could be healed. I didn't know if I could get better. And I did not want to go down that road of medication after medication after medication. And so, I tell people all the time that I am not really upset that I went through the autoimmune problems that I did, because I have become, and I like to say, a lot wiser. And it's like you open up a whole new world when you realize that you can come through that without medications. You can come through that if you want to change your diet, if you want to live a healthier lifestyle. You can come through many of those illnesses and be better off than you were. So it's a whole new world when you realize that you don't have to live sick and in doctor offices all the time.
Absolutely. And I think that you also understand that it's not just one thing, that there can be one thing that's incredible and you love it so much. For instance, I love the patches, but there's so many other things as far as, grounding and nutrition and
Mhm.
just and taking care of yourself emotionally. There's so many different facets to being well. And yes, your health is actually in your control. I agree. And things are fixable, that you might not believe are fixable. We can really change things. So I agree. So if you don't mind, I'm going to ask you a few questions that I have for
Okay.
you, just some things that I was thinking about. Um, one of the things, so one of the things that we're going to be talking about is really something that Karen and I really focus on is transformational sharing as opposed to transactional selling. You can see it when we have this conversation, but we are both passionate about helping other people. And I know that you said it, that you feel it's almost like things happen for a reason and we become wiser and we learn more. And that
Mhm.
is one of the reasons why I like to share things so much too, because I get a boost every single time I hear back from a client and they tell me, oh my gosh, this is feeling better. I just realized I didn't have pain anymore, or I'm having energy. I'm out walking again. I get so excited when I get these stories. I got an email the other day from someone that had experienced mold and they had been sick for about 6 years and they've been using the patches now for 3 months, and they checked in with me and said, I'm able to do things I haven't done in 6 years. My brain fog is lifting. My
Mhm.
my discomfort is going away. And they were so excited about it. And I got that email because some days, I get a little down about what I'm doing. Am I doing enough? Is it important? And then you get those emails or you get that feedback and you realize this is why we do it, to
Yes.
really transform people's lives and to help people get out of the tailspin of if they're having a health issue faster than they could otherwise. So question number one, when I first met you, I remember clearly, the first thing that you said was, I cannot stand MLMs. And you really just wanted to use the product, which I don't care if somebody just wants to use it, if they want to be a brand partner. I just want to get the patch onto your body. That's completely fine. But along the way, something changed and you started, it was just a little bit, you signed somebody, you were using the patches, you were patching people in your daily life and noticing results. And then I feel like all of the sudden you started building a really amazing team and helping that, not just building a team, not just signing people up, but actually teaching people how to share the patches, teaching people how to take away other people's discomfort, how to share it with friends. And so I'm just curious, what changed for you and why did you decide to grow a business, and a team with Lifewave?
Well, I have been in many MLMs, and you think, well, if you hate that, then why do you do that? But every one, were something the first one was makeup, you know, and then that clearly wasn't what, because me, I'm rarely in makeup, jewelry, or anything. But anyway, my first experience, and I made it pretty high up in that one, but it got to be a dog eat dog world where you were just looking for people. And, people were stealing people, because it was all about finding that next person and keeping up production and those kinds of things. And, that left a really bad taste in my mouth. And so then after that, most of the MLMs I went with were because the products were good, but I didn't necessarily want to go for it as an income. If I made a little income, that's fine. But I didn't really try to, except that, um, with oils and things, but it just seems like you've got so much competition. And so, when I came in with LifeWave, I really truly believed that it could help my health. And that's what I was looking for. So I didn't really want anything else other than that because I'm always looking how can I increase, my wellness. But when you find something that works and you begin to see little improvements, I think I think it's awful to say that I don't want to tell anybody else. And so, I work with people every day and they're in pain and everyone has, some sort of illness or, some sort of symptoms. And I'm like, well, let's just try these patches. I mean, I'm trying them, they're working for me. Let's see what happens with you. And so I actually tried them for about 2 months before I told anyone. And then I began to show people, what I could do with the patches. And I just let them use them, let them try them. And when they begin to get results, I mean, I live for those words. What you were saying, I live for the words that has helped me so much that I want to continue to do that. And that's really how I've been building my business. It's like, I look for people who need help. They have something that is really giving them a lot of discomfort. Well, let's try this. Let's try it for a few weeks. Let's try it for a month or two. If it works for you, then you have a find. And if it doesn't, you're no worse off. And so when they come back to me and like, I really want an account because I want to continue with these results, there's nothing, it's like music to my ears because I've been able to share, be the light to someone, and now they have the opportunity to be the light to someone else. So that's really why I began to share this business, only because I think it would be wrong not to.
I think that makes a lot of sense and I love it. It's like, I mean, that, and it tells you how much you love it because I think if the patches didn't make such a difference for you, you wouldn't be passionate about it. You weren't just going to share something just to share it. You didn't care about having a business. You cared about making people better. And I remember I would hear from Karen and she would say, I was out and I saw an Amish man that was in pain. So I patched him when I was just at the market and you just couldn't help yourself. And that's also how I wind up being too. I was out on Christmas Eve and there was a gentleman that said that he wanted to sit at the bar except his back was hurting. And I showed him my patch and I didn't give him my card or anything like that. I just wrote it down and said, you need to research this patch and stick it on where you're having this discomfort. I think it will help you see what
Mhm.
happens. And, it's like I share it whether there are just some times where I'm not going to hand out my card or I'm not going to,
Right.
it just didn't feel right, but I'm still going to share the patch, whether there's something in it for me or not. It's going to make a difference. And
Yes.
you might be sitting at that bar stool in no time.
Yes, well, I do that too. Like I say, it doesn't have to be for me. It
Hmm.
just has to, I want them to have the opportunity to try a patch. And as you said, maybe even research that later on. I work with the Amish a lot, and I had a lady that had just given birth. And her husband called me. He remembered months on back that I had been there, and I have other modalities that I use for people. But anyway, I end up going there and doing some people call it raindrop therapy, aroma touch. I did that with her because she really needed a detox. She had swelled just all over and was breaking out in rashes. And so I went and did what I could, and then I began to do patches, with her. And within 2 or 3 days, she called me back. She said, "Do you have more of those patches?" Because we won't get into a lot of words, but she had a humongous detox. I mean, it was something she's like, I know what a detox is like. And she said, "This is absolutely wonderful." And I went back to see her. She looked great. She was standing on her feet, no more swelling, no more rashes. And so, I mean, it was just someone called me, and I added the patches to what I was doing. And for her, it was a wonderful relief.
That's amazing. I think that's why this happened if we had these experiences so that we could share it and we'd be passionate about sharing it. Because once you feel the pain of not feeling well, you really want to help other people feel their best so that they don't feel that way.
Mhm.
So I hear a lot of negative things about network marketing. People call network marketing MLMs. I've had a really great experience with it myself. Um, One thing that I just want to say is I think who your mentor is does make a big difference. Having someone great to help you sets the tone, right? Because there's a lot of different tones and ways that we could share. So for me, I always think having someone like Karen, even it's interesting because Karen signed up, technically under me, but I mean, so many times she's taught me amazing things that I never would have known. I read things on the internet, I spoke to other people, and she's given me these aha moments of sharing in such a cool way. And what's really great is building your own business while you're teaching other people to build their own and really getting them started in the right way so that you don't just sign someone up and leave them where they have no idea of what to do, but you train them like you would at any other job and you get them started, because if they don't have the training, they might never feel confident to do the sharing. So what do you think is important for someone to keep in mind when they start network marketing? And this is like, do you agree with me that it's important to find a good mentor as well?
I absolutely do because you could find someone who is all about people. You just get that next person, get that next person, get that next person, and it's all about the money. And I think that's when people fail because they feel that anxiety of they don't have enough people. And see, I don't feel that way because I'm not necessarily looking for the next person. For me, I just look for people who need help. And I teach people that are under me. I think the best thing you can do is to educate them. So I send them a lot of videos. I send them and I talk to them a lot about, the educational part of the patching. I teach them how to patch so that they're not afraid to be able to patch someone. I think the biggest thing that we can do is to teach our people how to patch successfully and not always be disappointed if it doesn't work the first time, because we all know that people are different and sometimes you have to work with those patches. And so I think the biggest thing that I try to do with my people is let's bring people in, and we have little patching parties, and let's just practice on people, and we make it absolutely so informal because we're laughing and we're cutting up and we're just patching. Does that work? How does that feel? We sit around the table and we talk about our symptoms, and it's really almost like a campfire meeting. We just talk, and everyone has a chance to give their opinion, and then they ask a lot of questions, and we just answer the questions, and it's so informal. And so then at the end of that, it just seems like people are like, I would like to have my account. I would like to at least try this. And so I like to show, and I do this within my brand partners' homes. So they're learning how to be me because you can't be everywhere. And so I want them to be what I am for them, for the people that they're signing up, because that way you can build a business and they're confident. And so my biggest goal for them is for them to be a leader and then to turn around and teach their people how to be leaders, and to go out and be confident and be professional in what you're doing. Because if you look at this as just like an MLM, and that's what people, they have the wrong idea about MLM. If you look at this as a profession, and that you can honestly help people feel better and reduce symptoms, and come a long way in their health, then use that as a profession, because not everybody can patch successfully. Not everybody has the correct information. Not everybody is going to be that resourceful person, and the people who are the ones that will be able to build their teams.
Mhm. I agree with you. I think and that's really the way that I got started as well. I didn't just, sign up and kind of learn what my dashboard was and just get going. I was watching videos and learning and studying just like I did for any other, job or profession that I had.
Absolutely.
It wasn't something, and I continue to do it, and I continue to watch videos and learn new things, and we get on the phone and we talk. And I think there's this almost this notion of just that it's going to be just magic where you sign up for something and it's a great product, so you just recommend it to people, but you have to be the expert on the product. And of course,
Mhm.
if you have a mentor that is an expert, then you can ask those questions and it makes it
Absolutely.
so much easier. But and so even if you don't know everything when you're starting, if you have a great mentor that you can lean on, then you have
Yes.
somebody, so you don't have to know, 500 bricks down the walkway. You just have to know like 50. And then you're getting information, you're getting a nice edited kind of collection of videos. And so you can learn as you go, but you don't ever stop learning. And I also think that if you have transformation in your heart and that's what you want to do, you want to help, you don't just give up after you tell 5 people, even if those 5 people seem uninterested. They're just getting to know about it. And I think some people, they say, oh, I told a few people and they didn't go for it right away. Well, neither did I. But now, a year later, I wouldn't give up these patches for anything. So I think it's that when you have the intention in your heart of how you want to help people, you're not going to give up so easily. And then when you actually have the information that you need to work as a professional and give people the best advice, you're going to have some really successful, wonderful stories because there is a difference. Even though these patches perhaps are not the most complicated things, I think when you do know about the human body and you approach things in what I would say is an old-fashioned way where you give personal service and help, you're going to have
Mhm.
better results, every time because you're not treating it like all done, somebody bought the patches and now I'm not here to support them. That's when our work begins, right? That's
Right,
when really,
right.
somebody has the patches. Okay, now I can really help you.
Well,
Yeah.
I think that's when, people who are trying to build a business, they leave that on the table. I mean, they leave those poor people out there and they didn't disciple them. You know what I'm saying? They didn't make disciples out of them. And so, when you teach your people how to be confident, they're going to go out and want to patch other people. I think the biggest fear is not that they don't want to help, is that they're afraid of failing. And that was even with me. You and I talked about it, and we talked about it with Ted. It's like I didn't really have a fear of working with people, but what I did have a fear of or a concern was that I would fail, and not only would it uh, I guess even my ego would be bruised. But the main thing is that they would think the patches did not work, that the patches didn't do the job. So, learning, even though LifeWave is very simple and the patches are simple, and you can just stick them on anywhere, and a lot of times they work. I'm really enjoying learning more about I do acupressure, and I'm really enjoying learning how you can use these with the acupressure points, acupuncture points, and you get a lot of really good results. So you can go as deep with LifeWave as you want to. You can stay simple, but I think someone who wants to be professional with this will be a professional patcher and someone who can do more than the average person that just says, just stick it here. Because I mean, there are guidelines as to where you stick it, and they work. But when you begin to understand how these patches can work with certain energy cycles, then that's when you become professional. That's when you become an expert and you know more than the average bear. And you can really, I'm doing a protocol right now that I am absolutely enjoying. Now, I've been messing around with the patches, but then I have found this protocol that has really I can just tell even the first day that a lot of little aches and pains and a lot of just feelings are different today. And so it's I think that's where it is. Want to learn, enjoy learning, and just, thirst for the knowledge that, can be given through this company.
Definitely. And it's so interesting. A little story came to mind. You could be using the same patches, but all of a sudden you're using them in a different way and your results are different. So I have a friend and she is not part of LifeWave. She's very successful, probably one of the top people in another MLM, and we are friends. She was using the patches and she had pretty good results. They were not bad results. She had good results, but she came to me and she had a lot of issues that she didn't feel were being resolved. And she, I think, had just bought randomly retail from someone else. And so she switched over to me. We got on the phone and I made different recommendations. I showed her where I would place the patches.
Mhm.
And I got the best message about probably because she was snowboarding and she was in so much pain she would have to stop and cry. She felt terrible. And so I gave her this combination of patches and it was, quite a few, but she wanted to enjoy her life. She's a successful woman and she was in pain. Well, I think it was 5 days in, something like that. She wrote me and said, Megan, my pain is the lowest it has been in months. I can't believe the fact that I'm out here snowboarding. I feel so good. And I had sent her a little gift just as a thank you because she ordered so many patches and I was just excited that she signed up with me. I was like, wow, she had given me some mentoring before I knew who my team was. She answered questions, even though she was in a different MLM because she's got
Mhm.
really big heart. And so then she said, oh, can I try this ice wave too? How do I put it on? And when she put that patch on, she had so much discomfort in her neck and she moved it around. I showed her what to do and it went away and she felt great and she could not believe the difference. So on Christmas Eve, I got a message and she was patching someone. She was patching her
There
sister.
you go. Yes.
And I don't need her to be, I'm not trying to convert her. I didn't try to say, oh, ditch your, MLM where you're so successful, but I improved the quality of her life. So I was like, wow, I get to give back to you. And so this is a woman who was using the patches for 2 years. She had good results. They weren't bad results, but now she's having outstanding results. So I think having someone that really cares about using the patches, oh my gosh, and nobody cares about using the patches more than you do. That's, I mean, for sure. You really have immersed yourself in learning about it. Um, and I mean, I know we kind of talked about this, but what do you think is what would you say if you just thought of what is really the difference between transactional selling and transformational sharing? Because I think you've seen it both ways, right? That's sort of why I feel like you saw the transactional
I've
selling.
lived it.
You
Yes.
lived
You
it, and
get
that's
caught
why,
up in that.
when you were like a hot stove when I first met you, like I was like not going to say, oh, let's hop on and make a video. It was just, I was just going to just help you, but I would never, as you know, push anybody. Just you don't want to share, I'm not going to encourage you to share. But what do you think is the difference for you from what you've seen?
Well, I think the difference with me is that it's not like makeup for one thing or anything else that I have shared. And the other thing is there's not really competition in this. And the other thing is this, I again, I don't see how anyone who is getting results with these patches cannot share to the other person. I had a great grandmother who her grandson had really hurt his shoulder and he couldn't raise his shoulder. Now, listen, she has no intention of sharing these patches, but she calls me up and she's like, how do I patch him? And so, I gave her recommendations. She patched him and he could raise his arm. And now both her children have their own accounts. And so you see what I'm saying? You can't, that's the difference between the two. That's transformational because the average person does want to help. And it's just the heart of people. People do want to help. The main thing is that they don't want to fail or they don't. I tell you, the worst thing I think people do is that they don't want other people to think that they're making money off of them. And we've got to stop that. I have classes that I teach, wellness classes, exercise classes. They pay me because I improve the quality of their life. And I don't go into business to go broke. And no one does that. But the thing about it is, and the one thing I did learn from this MLM that I was in before, it's just as honorable to sell as it is to buy. And I think it's even more honorable if you've got a product that works and you've got the heart to help someone and you live to hear the words, thank you so much, because that has just improved my life so much. I can't tell you how much that means to me. I think that's the difference. And literally, I live to hear those words. I love hearing that because that's always my heart. And I think that's why I like to do what I do. Because, like I say, if someone doesn't want it or they don't feel the transformation right away and they just want to stop, then, I just let it be. I don't try to change, the consequences or the situation, but I just throw it out there and I think it returns to me the way it's supposed to return to me. And then if I can help someone, then I have done, made my goal. I have done exactly what I wanted to do. So I think that's the difference between the two.
I think that, the word selling has gotten a bad name. And in reality, a good salesperson has honor, they have integrity, they love and completely believe in their product, and they treat people as best friends and beloved family, and they do what they think is best for people. And I think sometimes people think selling is like you're selling something that's not desirable, you're not doing the right thing. But in reality, if selling is done well, you're helping someone, and I think that you are saving them money in the long run. You're saving them perhaps some agony that they would have, or discomfort, or whatever. And for me, I've gone through so many products because I had to test a lot of products to find what works. So I mostly talk about Lifewave. I do talk about other products I love. Like we spoke about makeup, and I'm really passionate about stuff. I only buy the stuff that I think is the best, that's healthy, that makes a difference. And so if we share that with people, I think we're saving them money and time, and they can listen or they can not listen. But it's selling done right is actually you do it with a servant heart, you do it to help, and you make a difference in people's lives. And if you get paid for it, that's even better, because then you can do it more, because then you can spend more of your time doing that helpful thing that you're doing. Doctors get paid, people that do services get paid. If you're doing the right thing and you are improving someone's quality of life, I think it makes sense. It's right to be able to have abundance from that.
Well, I think when you realize that that's what an MLM is, an MLM really, as far as I'm concerned, and when I think about it, is probably the best marketing plan, over capitalism. I mean, the big guy's still getting the money, and you make what he tells you you're going to make. You see what I'm saying? And so, you just don't work for a poor person, you,
Yeah.
you know. But in the MLM, and I know that there are people making money, but the thing about it is you get to decide, how much of that you want. And so to me, it's even more honorable because, in this particular type working, it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. It doesn't matter your race. It doesn't, no one's putting in someone because of some law or, legalization to make sure we've got an even number of these type of people. In
Right.
an MLM, it's literally your effort and your wanting to learn this business and making it professional and then going out and sharing. And it's totally up to you whether you win and you do well, or you bow out and say, it's not for me. But it's not the company, and especially a company like Lifewave that has such a good product. It's all about your initiative, that you want to learn, and you want to learn this product well, and then you want to learn how to serve people well with it. And I don't see how you cannot build when those are the tools. That's what your goals are, to build in this company or succeed in this company.
I agree. And I think your success or your failure actually is up to you, because you can have a great mentor, but your mentor isn't going to do your work for you. You also have to do the magic only happens when you work together and
Mhm.
both do it. So, you can't force somebody to watch videos or to contact you and ask you questions or to be a part of it. But when you can work together and everybody's receptive and everybody makes the effort, that's when you really see the magic. So I agree, no one holds you back. It's up to you. Anybody can join, and truly anyone can be successful. They just have to take the initiative and be willing to put in the work, and to put themselves out there, and possibly to redefine what failure means to them. For me, failure is not trying. It's not getting out there. So for me, it's like I just have to do things whether I think it's perfect enough, or I show up no matter what. And that's
Mhm.
how I get it done. It's not always pretty, but I get it done. And that's so much better than saying, this wasn't aligned today, everything wasn't right, so I gave up and I just decided I couldn't do it. It didn't happen as fast as I wanted, or someone said no, or what have you. I just keep going. It's like you
Well,
read.
and that's what, my grandson, we read the books, The Way of the Warrior Kid. They're excellent books, and some of you all may know those books, but it's written by a Navy SEAL. But he talks about you never lose, you learn. Either you win or you learn. And if you remember that, like even in patching, I'll patch someone and I'll look at them and I say, how does that feel? Well, not so much. Well, I'm learning where to patch. And every time that I patch someone and I practice, I get more, fluent with this. I'm able to do it better to where I'm not always practicing anymore. Now I have, a really good general idea as to how to patch people for certain symptoms that they have. So it's all a matter, and that's the reason I love doing the classes that I do, because they are so informal. We just get together, get around the table. We talk and laugh and eat and cut up, and then we patch people and laugh and all that kind of stuff. And when it's all over, no one feels any pressure whatsoever. And but most of the time, people are looking to, at least try it for 2 or 3 months. They want their own account because we were able to continue, patching until we got it right. And we found, and they see that they can do that too, that there's no harm in not getting it right the first time. Just laugh about it and go on and continue to do it. And I just feel like that's what we need to do, is not worry about our ego so much. Just play around with it and let it happen. And it's very easy to just let it happen.
I agree with you. And this, I know we covered this a little bit, but just in case there's anything else you wanted to add, if there was one bit of advice that you could give someone as they started network marketing, what would you tell them?
Well, I think I've said it over and over, first, especially with this particular company, use the product, get very familiar with the product. And practice with it. Try different things with you, whether it's this product or another product. Practice a lot, and then just go out and practice with people. Practice with, and they may or may not, and you just make it very, very light. But the more you practice, the more you become an expert. And then as you become, and the other thing is if you are looking to build a company, look to build others. You don't want to be the big guy. You want to build them up, and you want to step back and almost become invisible unless they need you. And you want to do that over and over. I mean, I can go to these homes and I'm the big person on the totem pole there, but that's not my goal. I want to eventually hand that over to that person and teach them to hand it down to the next person. So you help them, and you're the big guy for a while, and then you just back out and you become invisible, and you go on to the next person who needs that help. And so I think when you are truly trying to help people, whether it's physically or whether it's financially, or even, with just emotionally, help them to believe that they can do something for themselves. You've trained them well enough that now they are confident. I think those are the things that we need to remember. And also remember that, in an MLM, you can work as much as you want and you can achieve as much as you want. And it is not a wrong thing to sell to someone. It's an honorable thing to do if you're selling something with the heart in mind, if you're heartfelt. So I think that's what I would say.
I love that. I completely love it. So my other question is just if somebody would like to contact you, and perhaps if they would be fortunate enough to sign up with you as their sponsor, which is also a mentor, which is somebody, as we were talking about, that would, whether you want to have Karon as your sponsor and you want to build a business, or if you just want to try being a customer to start out, try the patches and make sure that you are getting someone that's really going to help you to use them to their full capabilities, how can somebody contact you and work with you?
Well, the website is lifewave.com/2483404.
And
So again, it's
I'm going to put that into the description too. So
okay.
everybody want to find Karon, we're going to have her link so you can click right on her link and you can, be put in touch with her. And also, is there going to be an email that they can reach you at? Is that okay to share an email or some way that they can contact you if they'd like to ask you more?
They can email me as long as they tell me what they're looking for. If if it has something to do with Lifeway, just that way I will know. I won't skim over it.
Okay.
But my email address is Lacefield, and that's LACEFIELD 59 @gmail.com.
Okay, perfect. And I can put that in the description if you like as well,
Sure.
just if people have any questions and they want to reach out to you, or you guys can actually go directly on to the Lifewave site and you can sign up directly with Karon and then be in contact with her after as well. Yeah, I really appreciate you sitting down. I know you are a really, really busy person, so it's not easy for you to take time and sit down and share your wisdom, but I really appreciate you doing so today. It was really nice to talk to you in person.
Well, I enjoyed this a whole lot. I appreciate it too.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much. Thank you. Stop the recording. Let's